Hi there, happy Friday. So I'm back with you today to talk with you about some stumbling blocks that many people experience when they are redesigning their home, whether that's an extension or a reconfiguration or a conversion, and how you can overcome them. So if you're dreaming of a better home, but for some reason you just can't quite get started, some of these might be the reasons you're experiencing, and I'd love to know, if they are these reasons, or maybe there's some other reasons. I'd love to know what it is that you're struggling with and with starting your home redesign. Let me know in the comments below, and maybe I can either create a follow-up video to this with some additional difficulties and how to overcome them, or I can reply to you in the comments below. So who am I to give you this kind of advice? Well, I'm Jane. I'm a chartered architect, and I have been working with homeowners for over 10 years, and I've come across many reasons why people have struggled with their home redesign. And quite a lot of the time I start work with clients who have lived in their home for years, in some cases decades, and they've really not been happy with their home. They bought their home thinking they were going to do some work to it and change it in some way, and then they never actually got round to it, and it took them a really long time to get to the point where they just so fed up with it that they really had to do it. It was like sort of now or never. And then they came to me maybe 5 years later, maybe 10, sometimes 20, 25 years later. And so having lived for such a long time in some cases in a home that hasn't really satisfied them, hasn't really supported their life in the way that they wanted to live, and to be honest, I think that's really sad. And I wanted to make this video to help you to not get stuck in that place, so you can move forward with your design and you can make your home work for you and enjoy living in your home for the decades to come, if that's how long you're planning to stay. And sometimes you don't know how long you're planning to stay, but you suspect you might want to stay for a long time. So in that case, it's worth being able to move forward more quickly with your design work and make your home suit you and your life better, so possible enjoying your best life at home. So the three main reasons that I come across and from clients who have spent time in their home and have struggled to get started with their project are as follows, and I'll do each one and plus how you can overcome that. So the first main reason is because you can't agree with your partner, and this happens time and time again, and I can completely understand. You don't want to have an argument with your partner. Relationships are tricky, and you love each other, and you don't want to make things more complicated than they need to be, so you just put off those awkward, difficult conversations because you know that you both don't really agree exactly with what you want to do. And the thing is, you can easily overcome this because you don't have to agree. That's the beauty. You don't have to agree with each other. You can both want different things, but the key thing is to both be really clear about what it is that you each want, and then take those different requirements. And a designer can design to suit even sometimes things that seem to be completely contradictory, so that you're both happy and you're both getting what you want in your home, and you don't need to have any sort of arguments or disagreements about what it is that you do with your home, because both of you can be satisfied. So I think that is something that keeps a lot of people stuck for a really long time, and I really understand why that is the case, but you just don't need to worry about it. You don't have to agree. You can just be really clear about what you each want, and then let your designer sort it out for you. That's all you need to do. So that's the key thing. So then the second one is fear of costs. Now, I know this is a big thing. Our homes are, for most of us, our biggest investment, and represent sort of really our lifetime's investment of what we've gathered. And then if you're planning to do something, especially something significant, then that again usually represents quite of money that you've really worked hard to save up for, or you know, perhaps you're at the position where you're remortgaging and you're able to increase the level of your mortgage to help pay for it, or maybe you've got some other finance. I'd love to know more about financing because I don't deal with that side at all, and at some point in the near future I'm planning to interview someone who does deal with financing, so stay tuned because I'll let you know when that's going to happen, and you can get a bit more insight from that interview, I think. But anyway, however it is that you're planning to finance your home improvements, that fear of costs overrunning and not being sure, you know, how to control them, that is also, it's a really normal thing. And I think the main way to overcome that is to really assess your finances, be sure about what you can comfortably afford. And I really think it's important that you can comfortably afford what you want to do, whether that's a small amount or whether that's a large amount is going to be personal to you. But I don't think that you should pushing yourself to pay for something, because although your home is really important, and you know, having that sort of sanctuary, having that place that's going to support your life, I think that is of really good value to everybody. But it's not the only thing in your life, you know. Maybe you want to be able to afford to go on holidays, maybe you want to be able to afford to go out, enjoy a meal out every now and then, you know, all these other things are also part of your life. So I think you need to figure out what you can comfortably afford while still enjoying life. And then once you've figured out that price, that's your budget. You decide that as your budget, and you make sure that you let your designer know what that budget is so that they can design within that budget, so that you know, and then there are lots of different checks and balances that you can do as you go throughout your project to keep an eye on the cost and make sure that it is within the budget. And then the very last thing that you do as part of your project is to have a good contract in place that will really help keep things within budget. But the very first thing to do, you know, if you're actually what's stopping you from getting started is once you've decided how much your budget is, then you can very quickly figure out what your options are within that budget through something like a home design workshop that I can do for you, where I will do lots of sketches, and those sketches can then be used to get an estimator to put a price against an outline cost, or a friendly and very experienced builder can put a finger in the air cost. Now obviously these costs are not precise, but they give you some indication of what ballpark figure you're looking at for the design. And then you can say, okay, well, that's a bit more or a bit less. So we can either do a little bit more than we thought, or we need to scale it back a bit. And from the very, very first thing that you do, you can then start to guide the project in the right route to make sure that it is going to end up within your budget. And there are lots of different, like I said, lots of different things throughout the process of a project that you can do to fine tune it and make sure that it is fitting within the budget. Fear of costs is always an important, you know, cost is budget. It's one of the big three priorities, along with time and along with quality. But if cost is a key thing for you, then there are definitely ways that you can control costs as you go through a project. And it starts with deciding what your budget is. The third thing is just not knowing where to start. Like, what do we do first? Just don't know. We know we're not happy. It's not really working for us. We like this area. We bought this house because it was within our budget to buy this house, and we love the location, but it doesn't work for us in this way and that way. That is really common. So not having really a clear idea of what you want to do and where to start. And I'd say that the two things go together, not knowing how to start and not quite knowing what you want to do. And I think to overcome that problem of not knowing where to start is getting clear on what it is you want to do is the solution to that. And to do that, it takes quite a lot of work on your part, and you're the only people who can do this work really. And it means you need to assess your lifestyle, assess your home, where it does and doesn't work for you. Think about what are your hopes and dreams for the future, how it is that you want to live your life, maybe differently to how you do now. And then make some decisions about what are your priorities, what things are what do you want to do to improve things as they are now and make them as you want them to be. And that, gives you that starting point. That's how you can, once you've got that figured out, it will help you then know what to do as the next step. But the first step is to figure out what it is you want to do. And if you want my help to do that, I have a free design your home vision checklist that you can get hold of. I'll put the link in the description, and you can get hold of a copy of that, and it will help you with those initial decision making, sort of give you a guide about what sort of things you should be deciding at this very, very early stage, and then get you started with your projects. You don't need to spend decades stuck in a home that's not really quite satisfactory. And then as a little bonus tip, this is something that I recommend really to everybody. Really, even if you're not that stuck with your project and you're starting to move forward, this is a really good thing to do. And it is just have a little bit of a clear out. Have a bit of a clear out your space, clear out stuff, stuff that's going on in your life that not really happy with. Just free up a bit of mental and physical space, because a home redesign, an extension project, a build project of any kind on your home, it's really disruptive, and at some point you're going to have to move out a lot of stuff from some spaces, or you're going to have to move out entirely from your home. And if you can have a bit of a clear out and reduce the amount of stuff that you're going to have to deal with as part of that process, it's going to make things a lot easier. But from the very, very early stages, if you can have that little bit of clear out, it'll free up a bit of space, and might even mean you don't actually need any extra space. Maybe you decide you don't need to extend, and after all, because you've got rid of that chair that nobody sits on that's dead uncomfortable, and you got it from your great auntie, but you like it, but nobody likes sitting on it, so it's just sat there in the corner of the room and taking up space, and that space can be better used for something else. So that would be my key thing, because actually I'm a bit of a weird architect in that I don't think you should necessarily be building any sort of extension. If you can make the space that you've got work better for you, then you don't need to spend your money and your time and your effort and your energy on going through a whole redesign project. If all it takes is getting rid of a few bits of furniture you don't really like or use, having a bit of a clear out, make more space that way. And then if you do that and you decide, actually this is nicer, got a bit more space, but it still doesn't quite work for us, well, that can really still help you to identify what it is that doesn't quite work for you, and then what you need to do to make it better. So that's my little bonus tip, have a bit of a clear out. I hope this has been helpful for you. Please let me know in the comments below what it is that's keeping you stuck with your home redesign, or if any of these three examples are the things that you're getting stuck with, and if these suggestions for how you can overcome them have been helpful. I hope they have been, and I look forward to speaking with you again next Friday. Bye for now.